Welcome to the Music Plays the Band podcast. We're going to be sitting down with musicians, artists, band members, friends and family to talk about what drives them to create great music. Asking more than just the typical questions, who's inspired you or what music do you like, we're going to ask the why behind what motivates them to create great music.
We're in a band.
We should all be on the same page, right? I swear we play music.
We know where the downbeat is.
All right. My name's Aaron. I'm here with Dr. Bacon at Front Porch Fest 10. And if you guys just go around the circle, introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm John.
John?
He also plays guitar.
I play guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm Jesse, singer.
Singer? All right.
Jackson Weldon, I play mandolin and lap steel and guitar.
Okay.
I'm Miles Dunder. I play saxophone, guitar, and I do some singing as well.
And some screaming.
Some screaming, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Hey, I'm Robbie. I play bass.
I'm Michael. I play harmonica and violin.
My name's Ben New, and I play the drums.
And you guys just finished a set here on a kind of cool afternoon.
2 out of 3.
Yeah. Awesome.
Still dripping in sweat.
Yo. Well, humidity is part of it too.
Rain.
Yeah.
A little bit of rain.
So
fluids.
my premise is, every band gets asked about who their influences are and what music they listen to, that kind of thing. And so we were going to cover that, but then I want to go a little bit deeper. And since there's so many of you guys, we'll take some turns, but I kind of want to find out what your history is with music, individually and as a band. Okay, so we'll start there and then kind of move into who your influences are and what you guys are working on, that kind of stuff. So let me throw the first question out there, what's your earliest memory involving music? And open to anybody. All right.
My dad, he kind of played guitar as a hobby. He was really into Paul Simon and used to sing me and my brother to sleep with, he used to play Puff the Magic Dragon to us at night, and it just lull me into this state of comfort, and I'd fall asleep just almost every night. He'd do that for a while until we got too old for that. But that's my introduction to it. And he and my mom were always playing Elvis and Paul Simon, especially that, and the Beatles, and I kind of grew up just with that in the background. A lot of African music as well, because they stayed in Cameroon for about 10 years, so I got a lot of kind of influence on that side for a while for my upbringing.
All right.
All via Cyrus City.
Yeah.
Yeah. The great metropolis.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we have a Crescent for the arts.
They got Walmart on the map. They got Walmart and a liquor store.
And 2 stoplights.
Anybody else have a early memory?
Yeah, My dad actually worked in a record store for 25 years. So, like, my earliest memory of music was just my early childhood, like, growing up with it. We'd always come home and play tenor guitar. And he'd come home and there was always music being played, and his buddies from the record store would always be over. And it was a lot of Richard Thompson, stuff like that. But, yeah, kind of grew up on it. Same as Jesse, you know?
Yeah.
You want to go next, Jackson?
Yeah, like a lot of my earliest memories are from my dad playing like kind of acoustic Jerry Garcia and David Grisman tapes, and like those Dog records, and a lot of kind of like bluegrass influence from that, and then a lot of like listening like John Hartford and the Allman Brothers, and kind of the fusion of different Southern sounds, really, like banjo and slide guitar and all of it, really.
That's awesome. Y'all Southern folk. Oh yeah. Well, I grew up in a not musical household, which I think kind of sets me apart. I'm from Sioux Falls, and my parents not music people, but they let me sing really loud in the car, so that was like fostering me. They never made me stop. So like one of my earliest memories was learning every single lyric in daycare to "Semi-Charmed Life" by Oh yeah. I think it was like right before I went into grade school, singing every single lyric to a song about crystal meth, just at the top of my lungs, right next to my dad. He never said stop. So it's been people really fostering me. It's good.
What's subtle?
It is subtle. It's not, my dad didn't get it. And if he did get it, he didn't stop me because he knew it was going to happen. He knew where I was going.
This isn't my earliest memory of music, but it's probably the biggest change in my music taste. I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and it was shortly before Christmas. I was with my dad or my mom, and we stopped in at a gas station, and they were playing like a Bruce Springsteen song on the radio. And at the time I was listening to a lot of like Will Smith and getting into like hip hop. And I made some like smart aleck comment about like old people music because the woman at the counter was singing along to Bruce Springsteen, having like no idea, no concept of what I was making fun of. I just made a little smart aleck comment as a kid. And then that Christmas, my parents got me a really nice CD collection, and my uncle gave me both my dad and my uncle's combined record collection. And it was all good classic rock music, everything from Beatles, Beach Boys, Monkees, Who, Led Zeppelin, REO Speedwagon, yeah. Well, actually, yeah, some Tina Turner, some Barry Manilow,
Aretha
Franklin, Black Sabbath as well, Chicago, all sorts of crazy stuff. And all of a sudden I had this whole new world of music that was really my foundation of what I listen to and play now.
The first snapshots of experiencing music I remember, my dad was a musician. I grew up in a musical household, and by the time I was 3, I had already seen The Who and King Crimson in concert. So like those 2 concerts I remember snapshots of for sure. Pete Townsend doing the Woodmill on stage, and or Tony Levin playing the bass with drumsticks, and that shit just stuck with my head,
All right, so
Sorry. I've been going to Merlefest almost my whole life. I stopped going in college because I started getting really busy with music of my own, but my parents used to take me to see all kinds of traditional music, kind of like what Jackson grew up on, where it was Doc Watson, Peter Rowan, Tony Rice, definitely John Hartford, all up in there. And then that was like my earliest musical memory, but I think the awakening to what rock and roll really was my dad bought Voodoo Lounge the day it came out, and I was like 2 or 3 years old, and he just put it on when I was on the floor in front of the speaker system. And I remember it was a little louder probably than my mom would have liked, but it was and I just remember hearing the sound of Mick Jagger's voice and the sound of all the instruments working together and be like, this is what cool is. This is what the good stuff is. Like, and from there, I moved on to Beatles and stuff like that. And
so for my next question, I'll rephrase a little bit since there's the whole group here. Who here? Let's just do a little competition. Who was the youngest person to start playing an instrument here?
It ain't me.
started late.
Is either
Probably not me. I was late.
Ben or me or John?
Probably.
I got my first drum set when I was 7.
7? Okay.
I started playing violin when I was 6. I
Wait,
don't play violin
I
anymore.
started playing violin technically when I was 3rd grade. So what was I like? Oh, like
8.
8. Yeah.
I was rocking a recorder in like 2nd or 3rd grade.
Yeah, I was rocking a recorder.
Crazy.
in
I was
third
high
grade.
cross flooded all over the place.
You know what? Whenever one of my kids brings a recorder home from school, I find a way to throw it away.
Yeah.
Good job.
You'd melt them down into a super recorder.
hot crust buns?
You know, if it wasn't for recorders, I wouldn't be playing saxophone. So
Yeah.
I can't talk trash about
I
it.
hear you.
It should be everything.
Check out some Gentle Giant. You might change your mind.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah?
Gentle Giant is so sick.
Okay.
He showed me Gentle Giant.
So then was it like band class in high school and high school band?
Who was in band?
I was in jazz band.
I did orchestra.
Wait, how was
Okay,
that?
Does that count?
I guess we all
That was
were.
band.
Thank you, Music Programs of America. Thank you. You made Dr. Bacon. Thank you.
We need those.
You're responsible for this.
Personal injury.
It's all about chorus for me though. That's where I got
I
into
wish I would
music.
have taken chorus.
Yeah, the chorus class is where it was all at. I was never able, like as a child, you're too simple to like manipulate the instrument unless you're some kind of crazy prodigy. You can't do the melodies in your head, but in chorus they teach you how to actually foster the melody. Because I can always do it with my voice. So that was actually my tether to making music actually making music. Without chorus, that would have never happened. The band was too hard for me. It was all this. I don't know what all this is. Why are you doing that?
I was teaching myself piano on one of those little Yamahas that they had classes, basically a left and a right hand class that you could take on each song that they had on there, and it wouldn't let you like continue through the song unless you hit the right note, and no other note could be played. So basically, you just like have to keep like plowing through it. And eventually, I kind of like figured out how to do it. Yeah. It's like a musical bop it, kind of.
Yeah. It's like musical popping.
But I did that.
You're out.
I almost forget doing that though, but I was really young. I learned like canon and D and like
And then you were in
classicals.
track, and that was like your life until
He hurt himself.
you hurt yourself.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
started
And
playing
then
guitar.
well, my dad actually, it's funny because he introduced me to music, but he also kind of like really tried to hinder my progress in it because he said like son, you can learn it as a hobby. You might even get some girlfriends for it, but you're never gonna get paid, and so you should just like find a real job. And he
We
kept
still
kind
don't know
of
if he was right or wrong.
he kept instilling that in me, and I always believed him.
There's still out of that one.
And so I went down like this athletic route, and I was like running cross
That's much
country.
more lucrative.
Oh yeah, right.
can't
Well,
work
no, I
girls,
just kind of did that just because I wanted to.
Well, and that's a good lead into another question is there a specific person or event that kind of propelled you into getting serious?
Well, it's this ACL tear that I had.
Okay. That ended your running career?
That ended my running and basketball career, and I could sit and play music or video games, but music was kind of fun at that point.
How about anybody else? Go ahead.
Mine was I'm from originally the Mississippi Gulf Coast,
Okay.
and during Hurricane Katrina, I had evacuated and moved to Nashville, or not Nashville, Natchez, Mississippi for a few months. And they have a festival down there, and the North Mississippi All-Stars were playing. I was like 14 years old. And I'd never seen someone really play.
Hey, Brittany.
I'd never seen someone really play slide guitar like that before. I'd never seen someone really play slide guitar like that before, and that really like put me on the trajectory of like trying to do that, and then trying to play lap steel, and then like really thinking that, like, oh, I can make a living doing this.
Okay.
I was trying to be a guitarist for the longest time, and I kind of realized that a lot of people can play guitar, but it's when you start doing different things than just playing the guitar, like maybe using it as a percussion instrument, or trying different tones and trying to make yourself sound like yourself instead of copying anybody else. Then I also I went and saw this band called Dirty Bourbon River Show at Shikori Hills, and that's when I learned that multi-instrumentalism in a band can add so much depth to what you're doing. In that band, there's people that switch between guitar and trumpet and saxophone and clarinet and kazoo and piano, and it's a constant revolving door. That and another band called Bombadil, which is also in North Carolina. 8-10 years ago. I saw them do another instrument switching extravaganza type thing.
Right.
But that kind of made me want to be in a band where I could play every instrument that I can get my hands on and not suck at. Like,
Yeah, Dirty
Missed
Bourbon
it,
is
but
a
he
huge.
jams kazoo as well.
Yeah,
he was like
he's
a
a-
real Renaissance man.
So mine was actually, I asked my sister, I was young, I was trying to bond with my sister and be like, hey, what's some cool music I should check out? And she goes, you should listen to the Smashing Pumpkins. And my dad said that I could have the Smashing Pumpkins' greatest hits because it had a parental advisory and it had bad words in it. And I was like, cool, you know, that's awesome, thanks, Pops. Got it for me, and I put on one of the B-sides, and it just started out with Billy Corgan going, fucker, and it hit this big power chord. And I was like, that's awesome. And I forever turned up the gain and went, fucker, and just rocked out. And that was, once I hit the overdrive, once I found out what the overdrive was on amp, I was like, this is cool as hell.
Yeah,
like,
jazz is dead.
Jazz is dead, yeah. And,
Long live
so
rock and roll.
I still always will have a sweet spot in that world, but I've grown away from that. But it was
Have you?
loud, angry rock and roll.
Have you?
First time
Well, I
ever.
mean, you guys, I don't know about angry, but you know, you could definitely get loud and rock
Yeah.
and roll out
It's
there.
not anger, it's passion.
Exactly.
And anger.
Yeah.
It's a sonic hug. It's been described as
Getting punched in the face with love, something like that.
yeah, just a hug that threatens to ruin your hearing forever.
An
What you,
explosion of exuberance.
It's exploded. A joyous shout from the mountaintops.
Did you
Yeah,
guys
that's
enjoy
true.
the headbanger that was?
Yeah.
in
Every
this?
time.
Yeah, that's
great.
every time.
Hell yeah.
That's why we
I
do
need
it.
that.
We
energy.
seriously need
Yeah,
that.
I feed
therapy.
off that.
Yeah, he
energy.
was totally digging it.
Yeah. Best compliment you can give a band is to get right up front and dance.
Hurt your neck.
Like,
That and
get
buy their
moving, give some energy back.
And buy their merch.
Yeah, by the
And then buy the merch.
And come to the next show.
And come to the next show and tell all your friends. Bring all your friends to the next show.
Yeah.
Even better.
We are
Say to
all
get into it.
energy sponges and or even mirrors sometimes too. But
Yeah.
if there are people up front and getting down and just showing us their love through, you know, like
It could change the
That-
expressive
that
dance,
is
that's
Dr.
what
Bacon.
gets
Even
us
one
going
person.
even further. Yeah,
That is what we have. That
Yeah, we
when
feed
people
off
are up
that
there,
energy.
we will give exactly what the crowd has given us right back.
It's reciprocal.
That is our thing.
Well, let's talk about Dr. Bacon as a band. How did you guys all meet up together?
Serendipity.
It's kind of a rolling
with the trifecta.
stone. It's been a snowball. It started out as an acoustic 3-piece with Miles and I and this other guy Blake Bostain played mandolin and trumpet, and then down the road we met Michael, who just came on as basically just a free manager. He said, I want to book for you guys, I want to work for you guys, but I don't want any money at all.
I was an entrepreneurship major in college, and I had to do some projects, and so I
yeah.
made a
He
business
thought we would
plan,
be an
I
interesting
recorded the band, and
project.
started doing some
Yeah.
implementation and marketing strategies.
And you had never
booking
played
shows.
harmonica up until that point, right?
And then you started
Nope.
playing it
You
while you were
played
walking to work.
violin,
and
you
got
played a
good
little
at it.
guitar, but he's like, you know what I think your band needs is a harmonica, and he just like buys like
Well,
3 or 4
And
of them.
he was serving at a restaurant where we were playing Sunday brunch. And he would be like taking somebody's order and be like, just a second, I can play harmonica on this tune. He'd walk over to us playing brunch and he'd play
Yeah,
harmonica.
nice.
He'd go back over, serve some drinks. He didn't work there very long, but
Yeah.
like
I did. I worked there
started-
for a long time, but not long after I
not
started
long
doing
after
that.
you started
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
Well,
rock
because
star
we started
lifestyle.
making money playing music, and
Yeah.
that's what gave me the impetus to be like, hey, I can actually do this.
It's not
So-
as much money,
We're
but it's
making
much
money
more fun.
playing.
So as the now 4-piece, we started off just at this brunch gig at this place called Char and Boone.
That and house parties and
And house, we'd get some things here and there, but we had this one staple every Sunday that they didn't pay us. They just gave us free mimosas and food.
Okay.
They
And then we
eventually
worked
tipped
for
our
tips.
guys, yeah.
We got tips, but then eventually they started paying us kind of like a stipend every week. But yeah, that's how it kind of got started. And then we met this guy Tucker Galloway, who was a banjo
Pants.
player.
Tucker
Pants. He plays in a 10 and sober gentleman now, but
Oh, okay, yeah.
he played with us for a while and thus furthered our our tether to bluegrass.
That was when we realized we needed a drummer and a bass player.
He was such like this bluegrass prodigy. Like he grew up like bleeding blue.
Pedigree.
yeah.
So, I mean, for anybody who's seen the band, obviously you guys are going for energy. But what's something else you're trying to do as a group of musicians? So let me preface it by saying, like, some artists are primarily into orchestration, getting everybody to work together. Some are primarily into storytelling, or instrumentation, that kind of thing. So, and all of it's a little bit of everything together. But kind of what are you guys going for?
Kind of equal input.
Ours is a very inclusive writing process.
Like within reason and within compromise, we don't really say no to most what anyone brings to the table. And so it's pretty much everyone's personal input and interpretations on the songs, whether it's something that Jesse wrote when the band was first forming, where there's probably like only him and Miles were there when that first was written, and we're just really interpreting that, or if it's something that we've collectively written now, as where everyone's just putting their 2 cents in, and then we hash it out and refine it, and like I said, there's always compromise, and there's always like ways to figure it out, but it's mostly everyone's focused on everyone having equal input.
It's getting about to the point where we all are masters of our own domain. We get to do our own thing. And for a while, when you have 7 people and everybody's trying to be completely artistically expressive in their own way, it can just be total chaos. But it's took a while, but it's gotten to the point where our writing process is actually kind of hiccup-free. Like we're learning how to play together in what we do, find our own spots, and learning how to practice correctly. That took a while.
The other thing I've noticed recently is that since it's always evolving, like we're always going back to songs that we've played like the previous weeks and changing them for the next week, fitting them into a set list and modifying them for the feel that we want, the experience that we want. If you don't like get your way, the thing that you really want to do, but you don't get to do it when it's first written,
then you cry.
You probably you're gonna cry. But then after you get over crying, you realize we're probably gonna do it differently next week, the week after that, and every week after for the next, however long we play this song.
There's always a chance to try.
So you always have
take
an
a risk
opportunity
for
to
one night, and
shape the song.
Then you just made a mistake in front of a bunch of your friends.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, what's the worst is we're gonna do? Be like, oh, wow, that was loud and wrong. Like, but you're not loud and wrong.
They'll just think it's funny for a second.
Yeah, like nobody's getting up there expecting you to fail or hoping you fail.
Yeah,
everybody's expecting the best.
And if you do fail, you just laugh about it. It's rock and roll.
Yep.
And there is the beauty of
shake it off.
You shake it off, rock on. Let's rock and roll.
Loud
We're
and
trying to make
roll.
the show different week to week, so the more we mess up, the more differently we mess up. Yeah, that's a good thing.
And then there's half
Different shows.
together,
You're never gonna
guys.
get the same show twice.
Yeah, and after a while, like these songs that we've been playing for 4 or 5 years, they start getting old for us, and we'll just change them up, and that's the thing. In this band, it's constantly changing and morphing into something. Like we started out as a bluegrass band, like a full bluegrass band, and then metal. You saw what that was, and that's pretty far from it now. But we still kind of do those bluegrass tunes, but we all have electric guitars.
It's not really bluegrass. It's more like bastard
yeah,
grass.
yeah, we call it. Bluegrass heads would not shake their head
We
at
were
that.
trying to describe our sound, and we felt like it fit a lot. We do a lot of bastard grass.
Yeah, that electric mandolin's more guitar than mandolin.
Yeah, the Stratocaster.
Mando
Mandocaster.
Strat.
Mandocaster, right?
Mandocaster's the old one.
Oh, it's
So,
Strato.
What's your direction from here? Like, where are you trying to get to? What do you want to do?
Keep going forward.
Stay together. I know, that's what I was saying about.
You just keep moving forward. Take the music to as many places as we can take it, and to as many people as want to hear it, and hopefully be able to survive playing it.
I think our interview might be getting rained out, but say something about the smoke down.
Yes!
All right. Yeah!
This is our entry into the festival scene, and it's kind of a thing that most bands have to do is to kind of get into that. You're not somebody unless you have your own festival these days, is what I hear. But it's gonna be
September
a lot of fun.
21st through 23rd in Snow Camp, North Carolina.
We're gonna be.
We present the Smoke Down.
If you're into
There's all kinds of
loud
amazing
and
bands, not one of them
friendship,
sucks.
You're going to the right place.
I just interviewed Freeway Revival
Oh, we love those guys.
They'll be playing.
They'll be there. Yeah.
Along with the Travis Brothership, Company Stores, Metafonia, Arson Daily,
Duke-Tan.
They're better than the Monsters.
Better than mine.
Well, thanks, guys. I wish we could go a little bit longer, but I appreciate it.
Thank you. I got in trouble for that. That might have been more.
People join in hand in hand while the music plays the band.
Hey, thank you for listening. I'm super excited to share these interviews with you, and I'd really appreciate you subscribing and leaving me a review, 5 stars preferably, but I'll take any feedback you've got. And stay tuned, we've got lots more exciting interviews coming your way.